Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another World of Warships Wednesday. Today I'm going to bring you my best game to date, my best round to date in any ship of any class. I've had 4 kills before with the U.S.S. Wicks, and I had 4 kills with the U.S.S. Bogue before. I also had 42 air kills with the Bogue once, but as you'll see, this is my best battle to date. So starting out, I've got my planes headed off to the west, and initially my plan here is to go chasing down their carrier. So as you can see, I've got a strike independence. This was during the missions for the Arpeggio ships, the Arpeggio Fog ships, so I'm fighting for the ARP Haruna here. So the mission here at this point was, in case you're watching this well into the future, the mission was to score up to like 700,000 points of damage, and then for the 4th stage, finish in the top 5 of experience on your team to get the ARP Haruna premium battleship. So since I recorded this video, I have finished that mission and gotten the Haruna. Right there, I just sent my planes in just a little bit early before my 4th group got over lined up along the wall there, so I had to reset them so they were traveling along the wall as far as possible away from being detected. So now that they're as close to the wall as possible, I've got them heading over that way, and then I'll initially have them run east and hunt down any sort of battleship, or preferably their aircraft carrier that I can find. Though, as you'll see, my initial plan to go after the aircraft carrier does not quite make it. Now you can see our guys at the beginning were talking about forgetting about C and just concentrating on A, B, and going in. If you look all the way over to C, you'll see why. But in the meantime, I detect this guy right here, and man, there's no way you can't pass up, even a cruiser, you can't pass up something that's just sitting there parked. Especially when it's parked right against a wall of an island there and it has no ability to maneuver. Now I see him starting to back up, so I'm going to set my torpedo planes a little bit behind him. Good hit with 1 squadron of bombers. And a miss with the 2nd squadron of bombers, but watch these torpedoes. I couldn't do too much better than I do here. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits with torpedoes and 2 floods. Not bad. Really hard to pass up a target like that. When somebody gives you a target profile like that, you cannot ignore it. You just can't. Now, even though it ultimately cost me half of my torpedo squadron, it's well worth it, even to take out just a cruiser. And there he goes. Kill number 1 as he floods out. So again, going back over to the C point over there, you can see our guys, we've already lost a couple guys. Well, we've lost 1 cruiser over at C. We've got another cruiser and a destroyer over there, and ultimately you'll see that almost their entire team is over there at C. It's more than half of their team is fighting up at C, with the other half kind of in between A and B.
Waypoint reached. Destination reached.
So my aircraft are landing and rearming, and I'm going to try to send them back down the west wall again to go after their carrier yet again. And now we've got just the 1 destroyer over there going on against a Molotov and a Nagato over at C. And I'm just trying to tell him, dude, get out of there. Like, you are all alone against a cruiser and a battleship bearing straight down on you. You can't fight that off in a destroyer. But unfortunately, he gets his torpedoes off, but he's just taking massive hits from both the cruiser and the battleship over there. In the meantime, my bombers are airborne again. And I'm looking in the middle here, and you can see Geisha Girl, which isn't Geisha Girl, Gazia Girl, is well into B, but is not capping, so obviously somebody's there. And now here he's trying to hide in the smoke, and he just gets annihilated because he stopped. So we've got nobody west of Geisha Girl. Now I can see what Geisha Girl's up against. There's all those battleships down to the south there, but more importantly, more critically, is this Königsberg. So I'm going to again abandon my plan of sending my guys down the west wall there, and I'm going to go in after this Königsberg, try to help out our cruiser and our battleship that are moving into B for the capture there. Unfortunately, Geisha Girl's taking hits from those 4 guys down to the southwest, and I can't get here fast enough between the burning and the massive hits that he or she was taking. Couldn't do anything to save him, but I can get my planes in on the Nuremberg here, and at least clear things out for our own Nagato up there. You can see our Nagato's actually taking some decent torpedo hits up above there on his own, but he's going to survive it. A big miss from my initial squadron of bombers. And then another miss from my second squadron of bombers, but he's already kind of half dead. And my torpedo planes do have a pretty perfect drop here on him, I gotta say. Not the best thing in the world I could have dropped, but pretty darn good. Kind of hard to beat, and since he was already down to half health, 1, 2, and a third hit, that doesn't even count, so good enough. That's the second kill for the battle. The torpedo planes are doing their job in this battle so far. Now Fire Dragon and Sniper 1 2016 over there, right there, they're getting a little close, so get the engines fired up and get the heck out of Dodge back over to friendly carrier or friendly fleet forces. And our guys are pushing down over on the west fairly well there, so I'm gonna run over to the west and get joined back up with my guys there. Because those 2 cruisers are bearing down on me a little uncomfortably close, even though I'm hidden behind the island here a bit. One coming on either side of the island, that's not good. Bobby Joe also there is a little dangerous. Their carrier's not entirely pleased with Miho Anko, our Nagato, in the middle there. In E8. Yeah, now Bobby Joe there is a Nagato, and Sniper is an Omaha, so I'm not terribly pleased about attacking either one of those guys with my planes. But I've got to go for the cruisers that are closer to me. The nice thing here is you guys are talking about a Nagato, and I know that Bobby Joe there coming up from the east in E7 is also a Nagato. I don't actually know what AFT is these guys are talking about. I don't know if it's a captain's skill or what. That's a pretty darn good hit from my 4 squadron bombers there on the Omaha. That was a pretty good hit. Took a pretty good amount of damage off of him. Three gets a decent hit, but not great. Does actually start a fire, which is nice. And I just barely decide I'm not going to get good torpedoes in on this guy, so I'm going to swing my torpedo planes up and around and try to counter his whirlwind 360 maneuvers he's pulling here, but it's getting annoying and I'm losing planes. So ultimately, I decide I'm going to swing these guys off of him, just let him screw around with his 360, and I'm going to go after Fire Dragon, who's now more of a threat to me because he's coming directly in at me. So even though I don't really like the idea of attacking a Molotov, I like the idea of attacking the Molotov slightly better than the Nagato, so the Molotov's also got a lot less health, and the Molotov is more of a threat to me, which is being a little selfish here as a carrier player, along with playing strike group. I get it, but the idea here for the Haruno was to do as much damage as possible, so I wasn't really... I was more looking at being slightly selfish and causing as much damage as possible. Ordinarily, for the Independence, I run a 1-1-1 fleet air wing, which is the 1 squadron of each, fighters, bombers, and torpedo planes, which I think works the best for the American carriers until you get more than 3 squadrons. Now you'll see in this carrier drop, or torpedo drop on Fire Dragon up there, all it really does is continue to chase him away from me, but that actually works and keeps him pinned down, and it actually has the unexpected, unintended benefit of dragging him into kind of an ambush from Rubber Rudder there, who's coming up from the south of this island right here, you can see. Now I sent my torpedo planes upwards and then off to the east, and then they're going to 180 and head back to the west just in an effort to maybe somehow convince the Molotov there, Fire Dragon, that I was not down to the west, and maybe get him to turn around and head back east, thinking that like that's where my torpedo planes came from, but it doesn't work. It was okay. It also kept my torpedo planes out of his range of his defensive AAA, and they didn't fly right over the head of it and get annihilated either, because I only had so many torpedo planes left.
Group 2, returning to ship.
So now I do send my torpedo planes basically right back down across them, but and here comes kind of a cheap kill, unfortunately. Because Rubber Rudder had knocked him down pretty hard, and I feel a little bad about it. But as you'll see in a little bit, one of my kills that I do most of the damage on gets taken away too, so it all works out in the end. But there's the third kill of the match. So it's already my second best match ever. I've had 3 kills in a couple ships a couple times. And I had 4 kills twice. But I had never had a Kraken before. So we're doing pretty good here. The score is now even. Or actually, we have one more ship than they do. They've got more battleships than we do, compared to our more cruisers, and we're even in the aircraft carriers. So I'm going to send my guys in on the Nagato there. And watch how dangerous the AAA from the Nagato is, if you haven't experienced it yet. He does a number on my number 4 squadron here. It doesn't help that they overfly him and fly past before they're able to drop. So that's one bomber lost already. There's a second bomber lost. There's a third bomber lost, and a fourth. And a fifth bomber lost. And there's a sixth bomber lost. All from that Nagato. Extremely dangerous AAA from pretty darn far out. Thankfully, though, he does get knocked out here shortly. He takes out our guy first. But he does get finished off by our cruisers shortly after. In the meantime, I've got my planes coming in on this cruiser down here who's threatening A. And this is the kill I was talking about where I did a pretty good amount of damage on him and someone else takes it away. But watch this manual drop on my bombers. I was pretty pleased with this one. Pretty darn good. And he turns broadside to run away and takes a pretty good hit, and that's that. So, a kill that I potentially could have had taken away, so I don't feel too bad about the other one I took on the Molotov. A little bit, but not enough to not take credit for it. So a little bit of a break in the fighting here while we're reloading their carrier planes. We're down now to, they've got those 2 battleships down in the south and their aircraft carrier. And I've got myself with 3 cruisers escorting me and screening down south of me a little bit, which is a very nice setup here. Now this is where me having fighters would have really been helpful for Rubber Rudder there, but he ends up being okay. So I'm going to try and initially send my carrier back up north to keep him out of the way, but then I decide I'm going to bring him over closer so that if Rubber Rudder does get destroyed, I'm kind of the second closest guy to get to B and keep taking it over, so... So now it's kind of a matter of what is my most important target right now. We've got 2 battleships working together and an unidentified carrier out there somewhere. I'm going to push into the south, see if I can find the carrier, and then if I don't encounter their carrier, I'm going to push in to go after those battleships. So I'm going to send my carrier in to go after a capture point here, just in case our cruiser doesn't get it. Kind of a backup plan. Which does bring me dangerously close to their battleships, I understand, but I've got to try to help the team out here. So we are now taking B. But he is getting threatened pretty badly, so... Haven't encountered the carrier yet. I'm in perfect position to go attack these battleships. Let's go hit us a couple battleships. Oh, look! A battleship with half health. That's a tasty little target. I should manually drop my bombers here, but I'm more concentrated on my torpedo planes hitting. So I let the bombers just go in on their own, and ultimately they do a good enough job. My torpedo planes are going to get there first, and watch these hits. These are also pretty. Again, not the most perfect torpedo drop I could have done, but definitely good enough. some good bomb hits. And then 1, 2, 3 good torpedo hits, and he floods out.
Enemy battleship sunk.
So they've now got a Texas and an aircraft carrier left. And like I say in team chat there, this is why I went strike group and not either fighter group or the 111 group. I actually didn't have the fighter wing researched yet at this point. It was the last research that I had left to do. Was the air wing of 2 fighters in the bomber squadron. But I would actually rather use the 111 before I would use the 2 fighters and 1 bomber. So I'm definitely thinking and smelling a Kraken here. With a carrier and a battleship left. Also, we just brought the score much better into our advantage with my kill on the battleship there, so that gives us a little more breathing room. Plus, we've got a capture point advantage. I'm definitely thinking Kraken here. I want to go after their carrier, but ultimately I decide the battleship is just a bigger threat to my cruisers there. And I've just got to help the team. Plus, if we take out the battleship, that is guaranteed victory, and I didn't have a victory yet in my independence this day, so really, really looking to... The win is going to be very pretty here with 4 kills.
Autopilot mode enabled.
So Texas with a little less than half his health here. It's not going to be a cheap Kraken, I can tell you that. Going up against a Texas is dangerous work. And who do you suppose those guns are fired at? Yep, those were definitely on me. 1 torpedo plane down, but the other 5 got the torpedoes off. And they got them off good enough. Good manual drop. 1, 2, 3 good hits. Some bomb hits. A little bit of help from my friendly ships shooting at him there. Never hurts. Knocks him down a little bit, and then my bombers are going to set him on fire. And that's all she wrote. Kraken unleashed, baby. First time I've got 5 kills in 1 battle. Even in a co-op I never got. I was a little excited here and typing in all chat, but you can see I had 12 bomb hits up to this point, which caused 10 fires, 12 torpedo hits, which caused 6 floodings, 2 incapacitations, and 1 devastating strike on that Miyoko back at the beginning for 5 kills. Pretty happy. And then the time just ticks over to 1,000 points before I can get back after the carrier, which I probably would have had a pretty good shot at potentially getting a 6th kill, but I'm very happy with 5. And you can see the score payout was pretty darn good. Without a premium account, I call that pretty good. So, still working on the Haruna. I have finished the Haruna. You'll see my first Haruna battle here soon. I actually haven't sailed it yet. So, here are the score reports. There's all the kills, all the damage. I actually pulled the 2nd place because the Cleveland got 26 air kills. You can see all the damage I scored on everyone here. And all my score knockout there, pretty good on the XP and everything. And one more, you can just see the, I took a little screenshot of the Kraken Unleashed back in the harbor there. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.